I'm Devin. I'd like to shed a little bit of light on doing a Light-ning integration into your business or your project, and some of the pitfalls and the experiences that we had. GloBee is a leading cryptocurrency payment gateway that allows you to accept a good number of coins. We currently accept Bitcoin, Monero, Litecoin, just to name a few. We decided to concentrate on just a number of smaller ones, well, number of the bigger ones, so not to dilute the pool as to having all the couple of thousand that are out there as payment options. We were one of the first adopters of Light-ning. There was a number of other companies around at that time, but we were one of the first that put it in as a payment option for all of our clients. We keep close to the community, and we stay up to date with a lot of the new developments. I'm currently, I've got lots of titles. I'm the software architect, development team lead, technician, sometimes change the light bulbs, but ultimately, I do a lot of the day-to-day operations as well as the planning and implementing of new features and functionalities at GloBee. In terms of doing a new integration, whether it's a new coin or a new layered solution, we look for a number of fundamental requirements that gives us the ability to integrate that coin or that layered solution. A lot of these ultimately give us the ability to automate that full process from payment until settlement. And ultimately, with that, the first thing is really having a unique address or a payment ID. I mean, for most, it's sort of a simple requirement, but some of them really just don't have that functionality for us to use. It is there with Light-ning, makes it a lot easier for us. And we use that to ultimately track those incoming payments, associate them with the many different payments that we have coming through the system. Secondly, we need a way to be able to validate those transactions, make sure that whether they're on the block or whether there's consensus of that transaction actually happening, we need to be able to verify those payments. And then thirdly, this is normally a nice to have, is a way of getting payment notifications from either the node or the system to tell us when, sort of real time, as to when we've received a payment. Otherwise, we land up having to sort of poll the node to get that sort of information, and the client experience is normally very painful because they can wait up to a minute or two before it actually shows up to say, hey, we've seen your payment. One of the ones that we, particularly for us, is being able to send funds programmatically. We use that in our system in order to do some of the automatic settlements, moving the funds between different hot and cold wallets and other facilities there. And then ultimately is a way for us to do a balance check. With the balance check, as we usually utilize that to make sure that the ledger is correct and we haven't lost any funds or any fishy stuff like that. And we utilize it as well when looking at spending the coins, and either in settlement, and that is to check if it's actually spendable TXOs. When we went with our integration on L&D, we basically, it was an L&D implementation. We utilized autopilot for our channel management. That's really made it a little bit simpler in the beginning to find and keep our channels alive without having to maintain it personally. we had difficulties at first adding Lightning into our current system, because we basically, with our usual coins, we had a situation where they didn't require the additional information like the channel information and other information that we needed to provide those clients to help them along the way of doing these payments. The processing of incoming payments needed to be adapted to work with these confirmations. Without confirmations, we did a lot of work on our system where we mainly watched those confirmations, and that ultimately led to what the payment status would be. And Lightning obviously doesn't have those confirmations, so we had to really adapt to having an instant payment method. At first, users didn't quite understand how to utilize Lightning, and we had a lot of support issues. I mean, Sergey, he's touched on that now as well in his speech, as to how Lightning over time has made it a lot easier for clients to actually pay. That wasn't the case in the early days. We really had to push for clients. If they didn't have the channels, we sort of asked them to rather do on-chain payments, get their channel sorted out and come back. Otherwise, we had to push the payment window from 15 minutes to an hour, and then it really isn't an instant payment as one would think. In terms of our security on our nodes, we ultimately had a lot of our nodes sit behind Cloudflare, and this was a problem for us with Lightning. For us to allow public channels, this was not possible putting it behind Cloudflare, and that it ultimately exposed the rest of our nodes to public. So we had to move it away from the rest of our infrastructure and put that separately and manage it on its own. We do suggest, in terms of the security, is ultimately minimizing the funds that you leave on that node and leaving it isolated away from the rest of your infrastructure. Fund management. When it came to managing your funds on Lightning, a lot of our other nodes, whether it was Monero, whether it was Bitcoin, it was quite easy to manage those funds. It was really just you had either they were spendable or they were locked. Whereas now with the channel management, that really put us in a situation where there was a lot of funds sort of held up and weren't able to be utilized as a method of settlement. And so with that, we decided that we would treat Lightning as a different currency within the system, and we would use our internal exchange to be able to exchange those funds from Lightning to basically Bitcoin. And we used a pot, per se, of coins that we ultimately exchanged when we're closing channels, and that we bring those back in. And that allows us to do a lot of the settlements and stuff in sort of real time without having to close those channels, wait for those funds before we can pay somebody out. If you're looking to accept Lightning, you ultimately, there's a number of ways that you can go with it. For somebody that's taking payments at a flea market or ad hoc, the mobile wallet, I feel, does the full job for somebody. They can do a couple of payments with that. They don't really need to run a full node or utilize a full service just for this offering. It's not a requirement. Otherwise, you can go to the point and if you've got ideas or other systems that you're looking to build that are on the Lightning network, similar to what Sergey's built, or like what we've built at GloBee, is run a full node, do the full integration, and do some of the building of that system with that full node. And then you've got other options, is like a BTC Pay server. That obviously the only problem there with BTC Pay server is it limits you on the number of coins. you've obviously got to look after the nodes and everything yourself as well. And it goes a long way to helping you run a decentralized payment gateway. And I personally think that it's a great system. And then you've got other services like ourselves, GloBee. We help really simplify it for a lot of the mom and pop stores, other people who aren't tech savvy. They just want to take Bitcoin. They want to open it up to the market, and they don't really want to manage their own nodes and look after the stuff themselves. So they've come to us, and we really simplify it and make it really easy for them to take a lot of these altcoins, whether it's just like your Moneros and your Litecoins, and get paid in Bitcoin or ultimately in fiat for them to do business. In terms of adoption with us, Light-ning has been really is increased dramatically as to how many payments we take via Light-ning. It's our third most used option at the moment. That's slightly behind Ethereum. I believe in the next few months we'll see that Light-ning is very much just after Bitcoin. It trumps a lot of the other coins as to being one of the most popular payment options with us. We find that now that there's a lot of low customer support required. We don't get as many underpayments, overpayments as we do with the other coins and other options when using Light-ning. It's definitely the least amount of support required there. And it's slowly but surely, as we've seen throughout this conference, is that there's a lot of talks and there's a lot of different new technologies that are coming out as to making Light-ning that much better and more efficient as a payment method. So yeah, so to sum it up, I mean, Light-ning really is pretty easy to implement if you're looking at it as just taking basic payments. If you're looking to really manage it yourself and go along and be decentralized, your BTC Pay service, all of that will sort that out for you. Otherwise, if you're looking to get funds out quickly back onto the chain and not necessarily need to manage all of that hardware, GloBee is the type of service that you would want to use for implementation. Yeah. Thank you.